YouTube, back with another video. So today I'm here to do a quick review of the Netflix original miniseries Senna. So I'm a big fan of racing in general. I'm a huge Senna fan. I think he's the greatest of all time, the best to ever do it, in my opinion. Um, so I was really excited when I heard the news that they were dropping a series about him on Netflix, miniseries about his life. Couldn't wait for it. When I saw the trailers, they were a little underwhelming for me, so I didn't have high expectations going into it. Outside of just my fandom for him. But after watching the series, it was not bad. It was not necessarily disappointing so much as I would just say it was underwhelming. For me, I read this article. It was a review, and it kind of perfectly summed up how I felt about it. It was saying basically what the series didn't do well was kind of capture the essence of cinema, right? It's very paint by the numbers. Like if you've seen one biopic, then you know what to expect by this. It doesn't all the biopic cliches are there in this series. Um, and again, it's not bad. It's just very bland, very underwhelming. Paint by the numbers, right? If you seen, like I said, if you've seen one biopic, you know what you're gonna get from this. It doesn't do anything new, but the issue I have is that I feel like it didn't capture the essence of cinema. It didn't capture. We never saw like what made him special, like why he resonated with so many people, why his legacy still is as strong as it's ever been, right? We never saw what pushed him. We never saw like the good and bad of him. They kind of they just told us a story. Like it was to me not enough emotion there. It's kind of hard to describe what I'm trying to say, but it's not a bad series. If you're a fan of Senna, if you're a fan of F1, then I'm sure I don't have to tell you to check it out. If you're not into Formula One, if you have no idea who Ayrton Senna is, then you should probably just not watch it. You're probably not going to get a lot out of it, unfortunately. As someone who is familiar with him, who is a fan of him, the sport itself, again, I was just a little let down. Again, it's not a bad series. You could probably watch it and get some kind of enjoyment out. Because I will say this one thing I will say is the racing scenes are very well done. Like they're way better than what I thought they were going to be because the trailer did not make it like the racing were going to be good at all in this series. So I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised at that part of it. But as a whole, the series, just because I had such high expectations, or at least I expected so much, I should say, due to uh, being a huge Senna fan and the things that I know about him. As far as just like doing research, watching old interviews, and then it's so much there that they left a lot out, because it's only 6 episodes and they're like, a little over an hour. So, obviously you couldn't tell everything, but there was definitely a lot of key moments that I think should have been in there. They got left out, like the 1993 Donington lap. That's not in there, but that's something that made him special. I would have loved to see the interview with Jackie Stewart, that he did in real life. I would have loved to see that in the series. Just little things like that, man, that would have gave more to his character or gave more to him and kind of gave the audience like, oh, this is what drives him. This is what made him special. Like things like that I think would have done the series a lot of justice. Um, but unfortunately, not everything's gonna be for everybody. Uh, so again, it's not a bad series. I didn't hate it or anything like that. I didn't dislike it. It was just okay. It was very mid, right? So all in all, not what I was hoping it would be, but not a dumpster fire either. Um, with that being said, I am going to get into just because it's a series about Formula One. I'm also going to give my top five Formula One drivers of all time. Not in order, just a top five who I believe are the five British Formula One drivers of all time. Um, so I'm going to start off with the aforementioned Senna. Now, if this list was ranked, Senna would probably be number one on it. And the only reason I say probably is because there's two names on this list that I think you could argue were better. But I'm a fan of Senna, so I do give the edge to Senna. But there are two names that I could argue are better. But for the most part, I probably would say Senna's one. But so I'm gonna start with Senna. Uh, Fanjo is the other driver who I believe could have a claim to being number one. Fanjo was amazing. Juan Manuel Fanjo. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Dude was phenomenal. One of the best to ever do it for sure. Jim Clark. He's the other driver who I said could have been number one on this list. Unfortunately, his career was cut short. He passed away, racing. So we didn't really get to see just how great he could have been, but we saw a lot in the future. A few years he was racing, and Really, he's before my time, but just doing my research and just looking at interviews. Obviously, you can YouTube him and watch a lot of his footage and stuff like that. So, and I'm saying this again, obviously, I'm kind of on the younger side, but just from what I know, he's definitely somebody who I think could be in that top to that number one position, one of the best to ever do it. Lewis Hamilton, most wins of all time, most number one qualifiers of all time, most tied for most championships of all time, one of the best in the wet weather. Lewis is definitely up there as far as the F1 goes. And then obviously Michael Schumacher, he got to put him in the list. Um, Again, when he retired, he had the most wins ever. Currently second most wins of all time. 7 championships, 5 consecutive championships. He just dominated the sport in a way that I don't think anybody has, arguably. He might be the most dominant driver on this list. Even though I don't think he's the best driver, he certainly might be the most dominant. So that is my top five. So Juan Manuel Fangio, Senna, Jim Clark, Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher. I do want to give an honorable mention though to Jackie Stewart. He was one of the best ever as well. When he retired, he had the most wins ever. 3-time world champion, an advocate for safety of the sport. Certainly one of the greats. Big fan of his. And yeah, so that's my review of the Senna series as well as my top five F1 drivers of all time. Let me know down in the comments who's your top five F1 drivers of all time. And also, if you've seen the series, what do you think about it? And I definitely want to hear from the people who aren't fans of F1 and like who don't have a lot of knowledge of Senna. If that's you, definitely let me know what you thought about the series and if it's going to kind of like influence you to watch it more or whatever, or just what did you get from the series having not a lot of exposure to maybe who Senna was, right? Just let me know what you think about him and about the series. Thanks for watching, guys.